could create legal challenges if network failures or power outages occurred during elections. He stressed that the Independent National Electoral Commission should decide on the mode and timing of results transmission within the law, warning against imposing technology beyond the country's current infrastructure. The Senate President criticized commentators and civil society actors for publicly interpreting unfinished legislative work, saying it undermines democracy and shows a misunderstanding of how lawmaking operates. He emphasized that democracy depends on principles and institutional understanding, not just public passion. The Nigerian Bar Association had urged the Senate to require mandatory electronic transmission, arguing that the current wording could weaken election transparency and allow manipulation. Akpabio responded that the Electoral Act amendment is still in progress and public debate on incomplete legislation is premature. Former Senate President David Mark, who chaired the event, echoed this view, calling on lawmakers to pass the bill and leave technical decisions, such as real-time transmission, to INEC. Speakers of the event praised Senator Bob for highlighting the challenges Nigerian legislators face, including electoral disputes, conflicts with political godfathers, and judicial overturns of election victories. Akpabio concluded by stressing that reforms must be grounded in legal and institutional capacity, warning against decisions driven by mistrust or misunderstanding of the legislative process. The Abia State government has addressed reports claiming that over 200 million naira was allocated for the purchase of a photocopier in its 2026 budget. In a statement released by the Ministry of Budget and Planning, the government explained that budget figures represent proposed spending and do not mean funds have been released. The ministry said the 2026 appropriation law was published online on January 31st to promote transparency and public access. It clarified that the actual provisions appear on page 60 of the document, where about 210 million naira was set aside for the rehabilitation of residential buildings and staff quarters at the Lagos Liaison Office, while 12 million naira was approved for a photocopier and other office equipment. According to the ministry, a technical error during the final compilation caused a misalignment of figures on page 289, creating the impression that 250 million naira was meant for a photocopier. It explained that the 250 million naira figure belongs to a different capital project elsewhere in the budget, and that the affected agency has been informed. The government stressed that there was no cost inflation, describing the issue as a clerical formatting error. It also noted that all procurements must pass statutory approval processes before any funds are released. The clarification follows public criticism over the reported allocation, with the state government reaffirming its commitment to transparency, accountability, and responsible management of public funds. A legal practitioner, Emeka Emekesiri, has applauded a landmark judgment by an ENUGU State High Court that ordered the British government to pay £420 million in compensation to the families of 21 coal miners killed in ENUGU in 1949 during British colonial rule. Emekesiri, who featured on New Day on Signaturetv, said the judgment brought by the aggrieved families as a human rights action could set a precedent for similar historic human rights cases in Nigeria. He explained that Justice Anthony Onovo of the ENUGU High Court ruled that each family should receive £20 million and that the British government should issue formal apologies, orders intended to provide what the court described as effective remedy and compensation for the violations of the right to life. Emeka Esiri commented that the judgment is enforceable under existing legal principles and that governments should be held accountable for serious violations of human rights, even decades later. He pointed out that the UK has significant assets globally, including in Nigeria, which could theoretically be used to satisfy such judgments if diplomatic efforts fail.
British government was ordered to publish apology in the national newspapers, both in Nigeria and in Britain. Apology. Yes, in a situation like this, money cannot bring back the life of the person. No, it cannot. Yes. Cannot. But we just try to assuage, try to pacify. Just do your best to sort of ameliorate the expense. You cannot. There's no way you can get back the life of the person that